Hi everyone, I'm Eric.
And I'm Christopher.
And we're Grow For Me 5B. Today, we're going to answer some questions from Instagram. Well, thank you for joining us. We are in a new location that we haven't been in before.
Here we are in the house, inside.
Yeah, it's getting dark very early in upstate New York, and we both work full-time jobs. And so we thought, oh, we'll just film our Instagram when we get home from work, not anticipating it being fully pitch black outside.
It is completely dark out now.
So, yeah, I mean, our last video was about houseplants, so I guess this gives you a little sneak peek into where those houseplants are going to be. Right. But what I did is I went ahead on Instagram this weekend, and I put out a call for questions. We could do a Q&A video, and you guys really delivered. And so Christopher has not seen these questions yet. And so I'm going to ask all the questions that were submitted. But the first question is, Christopher, are you ready? From Felicity Suzanne. How much do you think you've spent on plants and supplies since you started this fabulous garden?
Ooh. Is no comment an option?
I mean, a lot.
A lot.
We don't go away in the summertime. Our backyard and our garden is our vacation place. So, and more. So I don't think we could tally it up. I personally do not want to tally up. I don't want to know the amount. I can't imagine that you do either, Christopher.
I would assume that it's at least 1 to 2 Disney vacations.
I don't even know how much Disney vacation costs.
Well, anybody who's watching this will probably shudder at the thought.
Oh, okay. Would love to see you prepare your hydrangea hedge for the winter. And I will be the one doing that in a video at some point. And it's not going to be too complicated. It's for us in the winter, we have really heavy icy snow that weighs branches down. So the only preparation we're going to do for the hydrangea hedge this winter in particular, because we were fighting that mite issue, is we are going to rake those leaves out. Normally, we'd leave the dropped leaves down on the ground and let them act as mulch. But this winter, we'll rake them out. We're going to cut off the blooms, and we do that every year anyway because the heavy ice and the heavy snow bends the branches of the ground. And then we will probably spray with a miticide. And then in the spring is when we'll get into hydrangea pruning, which is one of my favorite activities. So if you want to know how to prune your new wood hydrangeas, follow us for springtime hydrangea pruning because I love it and we have hundreds of them to do. So there'll be plenty of opportunity to do hydrangea pruning footage. All right, next from Pretty Little Boxes. Will you ever put up a deer fence? How did you meet? What brings you the most joy in your garden? So that's 3-in-1 from Pretty Little Boxes.
So I think our deer fence this year is going to be a very simple fishing line. You run it at a couple different heights, and we'll do that at the back of the property. I'm looking out the window that way. Because I guess when the deer run into it and they don't see anything because it's invisible to them, they get freaked out and they run away.
Yeah. So what I'm picturing in my mind when we talk about doing this is like a heavy-duty fishing line that's not going to snap. And either tying it to those T-posts, is that what they're called? Those green metal posts, and kind of run it from fence behind the green giant arborvitaes across the back of the property to the other side of the fence. And then seeing if that does anything to help. I mean, it might not. And then if that doesn't work, then I guess we're going to look into an actual deer fence.
Beautiful looking fences, those deer fence. How did we meet? We met because we were both singing with a local choral group called Albany Pro Musica. And I was a member for many years. He was auditioning to be part of the group. He's a much better singer than I am. And that's how we met.
Yep, we got seated next to each other at a rehearsal. And that is how we met each other.
Yeah.
And then the last part of Pretty Little Boxes question is, what brings you the most joy in your garden?
That's a toughie. Because as much as I want to say, when the work is all done and you get to sit down and listen to the fountain and look at all the beautiful plants and smell the roses, there is a part of me, I like when we do our morning walks. And sometimes I'm the person who says, "Oh, I can't wait to do this in the future." And he says, "No, no, no, you have to enjoy it now." Or I'm looking at all the beautiful things and he says, "Oh no, there's all those weeds." But I like those times when we're walking around together just looking at what needs to be done and what we might want to do in the future, but just sort of taking it all in. That's what I personally love in the garden.
I think what brings me the greatest joy in the garden is the satisfaction of having completed something or seeing something come together. I think that's my greatest joy in the garden, is having that moment where I'm like, yes, that is exactly what I was thinking. It's exactly what's happening, and I'm really happy with that, and I'm really proud of it. I am most at peace in the garden when I don't feel a to-do list looming over my head. So those moments in the morning when Christopher says, "Oh, we need to do this, we need to do that," like revs me up of like, "Oh no." Whereas I love at the end of the day when it's all accomplished and it's all done, then I feel great joy in the garden. So we get opposite joy in the garden,
Mhm.
apparently.
That makes sense.
When did you know you wanted to transform your garden, and what were your first steps? This is from Pam Korea 30. And I would say we knew we wanted to transform our garden when we walked outside the day that the builder installed the builder grade landscape package. And we looked at it and we thought,
No, 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 no,
I
no,
don't
no.
think that's very pretty. And we didn't know too much about gardening at that point in time, but we knew that it didn't look good.
Yes, and we also very quickly realized that they had put a white spruce about 6 feet from the foundation up at the front corner, and in a matter of years, it would have eaten our house. It would be that
Yeah,
big.
I mean, we took a picture of this foundation bed planting that the builder put in, and we brought it to our local garden center. Um, and I showed it to the person at the garden center, and the first thing they said was, "Get that spruce out of there. That spruce is going to engulf your house." And so we thought, okay, I guess we got to do that. And then she said, "You're going to want to remove this. That's terrible for that." And those are sea spray junipers. They're fine, but there's so many better options. And yeah, and it kind of started there. And that's how we got into gardening, actually, was when we moved in this house. That landscape package was so bad and we disliked it so much. And so we were able to just go to the garden center and start picking things out because, yeah.
Yeah.
So,
and that's when the journey began.
Yeah, and honestly, then we would go on YouTube and search. And I remember I saw at the garden center a beauty berry. I think it was a traditional beauty berry. And I went online to search what it was because the purple berries were very eye catching. And then I came across everyone's favorite gardener, Garden Answer, Laura from Garden Answer, and got hooked immediately. And we learned so much. And Jim Putnam and Aaron, the impatient gardener, and Moya, garden addicts, and there were just these like this small handful of people that were garden influencers at the time that we really learned so much from. And that space has grown so much in social media, and we're lucky because we get to be a part of it now. But it's a great community, and you can learn a lot on YouTube, Google, magazines, Gardener's World.
Yes, get BritBox, that home our TV service or the app, and watch Gardener's World. It's been on for like 50 years.
Yeah, and just because it's not your gardening zone doesn't mean that you can't learn something from it. There's so many resources for learning how to garden. But that's when we knew we wanted to transform our garden. We got a little sidetracked there.
That's okay.
Next question from KJOK. Oh, maybe it's K Doddard 722. What is your favorite plant to grow? What is your least favorite plant you've grown?
Well, ironically, I think our least favorite plant to have grown is the beautyberry, because we found that plant with the purple berries and they were beautiful. So we planted 3 of them and they promptly died.
They didn't die promptly. It was slowly.
They slowly withered away and died. And this past season, last year, we planted 3 more. And they promptly withered away slowly and got replaced with Little Lime Punch.
We have tried 6. I don't know if that's the least favorite thing I've grown, though.
No, he doesn't like Rose of Sharon.
No, that's not my least favorite.
Oh.
The least favorite thing that has ever been put in our garden, and I'll probably get a lot of hate and shame for
Uh-oh.
this, has been lilies. Those like smelly, smelly lilies that like the thing is Christopher really wanted lilies in this one spot and they just never really thrived and they always got that red lily beetle on them and they just look spindly and they were so hideous and they were just like dotted around. They weren't like grouped properly together and it was they were a hot mess and finally I was like they are going.
Yes, and then I pulled him out and he was much happier.
What was the least favorite thing that we've ever grown? What is your least favorite thing we've ever grown?
I don't know. I feel on the spot with this one. You say your favorite thing, and then I'll come up with one.
At this point, if it's still in our garden, I love it. If not, really like it. But my favorite thing changes throughout the season. So I'll list some of my favorite things that we have in our garden. Walker's Low Catmint for its color and its show. All of our roses. All of our hydrangeas.
That's basically our whole garden.
Our beech trees, our birch trees, Brunnera. I can keep going. I think, okay, your turn. What are your favorite things in our garden?
Well, I definitely love the roses, the David Austin roses in particular, the smell, the petal count, the leaf colors. I'm trying to
I know what your least favorite thing is. It just dawned on me because you made us take it out this summer. The porcupine grass.
I hate porcupine grass.
Yeah.
That was the one.
You were not into that. We had got a chunk of it from my parents and we planted it. And then for the last couple of years, every time we walked by it, we'd be like, ugh, that grass.
I don't know. It's the zebra stripe look to it. I just didn't care for it.
Yes.
I like the very soft miscanthus and panicums. I like the ones that just kind of like floof. And the porcupine grass just looked like a bunch of porcupine sticks. It was terrible.
KG Leaf, what are your favorite shrubs or perennials for shade? Hands down, Sun King Aurelia is a great perennial for shade, for a bright color, for a bright pop of chartreuse. Maybe Christopher will throw it on the screen right now. That's one of my favorite perennials. And Queen of Hearts Brunnera has giant foliage, which is amazing.
And the deer don't eat it because it's got like a fuzzy roughness.
And I love that New Virginia Peppermint Patty has great big giant foliage. That looks great. And what are your favorite perennials? Oh, and I didn't get to shrubs yet, but Christopher will do his favorite perennials for shade.
I really like the little tiny hosta. What is that?
Mouse ears?
Mouse ears. The little blue, we have a couple blue mouse ears and I've kind of pulled chunks apart and I've got them spaced around.
I feel like you're also like a coral bell pusher. Like you're always like pushing coral bells into our garden, which I'm like not a huge coral bell fan. I'm very neutral to not like them. Not because I don't think they're pretty, because they don't really do great for us. They just kind of like are there.
Yeah, so get pistachio ambrosia, peachberry ice, wildberry, dressed up ball gown. Yeah, I like them. I think they're great.
Yeah. Favorite shrub for shade? Mine is oak leaf hydrangea for sure.
Easy.
We have Gatsby Moon and we have Gatsby Pink. Love an oak leaf hydrangea for shade. What do you do with the sod you dig out when you expand the garden beds? And this is from Lori Shutt.
Well, we have that berm at the back of our property, and behind that berm is Forever Wild, but not for a ways. It's a really steep hill. So right at the crest of the berm, we have a little area where we're able to put where
we can kind of do a compost pile back
Yeah.
there. And I mean, usually if it's, we take a lot of that and patch our own grass with it. I've offered it to friends and family and neighbors, but we never throw it out. It usually ends up somewhere on our property, a friend or family's property, or it ends up in the compost pile. Our first rose cottage, what's your favorite hydrangea?
Your favorite hydrangea is Firelight Tidbit.
So I'm going to be very specific. My favorite panicle hydrangea is Firelight Tidbit, for sure, because it gets about 3x3, is absolutely covered in flowers, and those flowers turn an incredible color this time of year. My favorite oak leaf hydrangea is Gatsby Pink, because it is so large and robust The leaves are humongous. They're in a beautiful fall color, and they have a nice open habit. My favorite smooth hydrangea or Annabelle hydrangea is Invincible Sublime, which has an outstanding chartreusey lime colored bloom, and it gets about 5x5 blooms on new wood. My favorite big leaf hydrangea is a tough one because we haven't had huge success with them, but I have a lot of faith that Let's Dance Skyview is going to become my favorite because that is crossbred with a mountain hydrangea for extra bud hardiness. And my absolute favorite mountain hydrangea or serrata hydrangea is Tough Stuff Top Fun. The foliage shape and color is outstanding. The bloom color is outstanding. And I love the habit of it. It gets about 2 to 3 by 2 to 3. So those are my favorite of each category. I got all the categories, right?
That's it.
Okay. Your turn. What's your favorite of each category?
So, oh gosh, of every category?
Yeah. What's your favorite panicle?
My favorite panicle, Pinky Winky, hands down. Always love it.
Pinky Winky.
I love it. It's beautiful. The lacy openness of the panicle, like it's like 16 inches tall. They're beautiful. And the color's awesome right now.
We couldn't have picked two more opposite panicle hydrangeas.
Correct.
What's your favorite smooth leaf hydrangea?
My favorite smooth leaf hydrangea.
I think I know the answer.
Invincible Spirit 2.
Oh, okay. I thought you were going to say lace.
No, I like Invincible Spirit 2 because it's got that kind of blushy pink color. It's a little deeper than Incredible Blush. It's not as dark as Invincible Ruby. And they're just beautiful.
I do love that one too. Your favorite oak leaf?
I think Gatsby Moon might replace Gatsby Pink for me.
Because
those blooms are really cool.
Yeah.
Really dense. And
they look like a wedding hydrangea bloom to me. And your favorite big leaf?
My favorite big leaf. See, we just don't have so many of them. So I think
we really have one.
We really only have the one. So we're gonna put all our faith in Skyview.
Let's Dance
Let's do
Skyview.
that. And my overall favorite hydrangea that I think is going to replace my love of Pinky Winky is Tough Stuff. The original Tough Stuff. When we were in Michigan this summer, we saw the 3 original Tough Stuff trial hydrangeas. They are probably the most beautiful shrub, hands down, I have ever seen in my life.
How do you keep deer from eating your garden? We don't. I also have new construction, empty lot. How did you decide where to start? We started with the Limelight hydrangea hedge.
No fence, just a hedge.
Yeah, and we knew because when you go out in our backyard and you look to the east, it's just everyone's backyard is in that direction. And if you look to the west, there's some woods. So we knew that the first thing we wanted to do was start adding privacy to that east side of the house. So we started with the Limelight hydrangea hedge. How we chose Limelight hydrangea, it just happened to be
the one.
Yeah, a hydrangea that was readily available and that it could handle full sun. And that's how we chose Limelight. It was readily available and could handle full sun. We could get our hands on 15 of them. And we did our research and planted them in the ground. We do have a video all about planting that Limelight hydrangea hedge. So I think part of it was we wanted balance and symmetry. So then we went to the other side of the yard and then kind of just worked our way around the house after the drip line was installed.
So this has been no help to your question.
Yeah, I don't know. We just did it.
We just did it. I would say figure out how much garden you want, how much work you want, and then start building out your plans from there.
But I also think our decisions were informed by privacy a lot. Like our office window looks into the dining room of our neighbor. And so we planted a tree there to help with privacy there. We wanted to be able to see something beautiful from our great room window. So we planted a tree with beautiful bark outside of our great room window. We wanted to create a natural border from the back of our property going into the woods behind our home. So we, thought about planting groupings of trees back there. And I think that's kind of how we started, was getting those big pieces in first and then building around it. Once we learned how the light was working, how the soil worked. And we have killed so many plants
So many.
and bought so many plants and put them in the wrong spot. I mean, I remember when we very first started gardening and Christopher wanted a pugster pink butterfly bush and we put it down front in full sun and it was kind of like a little shrivelly and I was like, I know what that needs. It needs water. And I kept watering that butterfly bush
killed
thinking
my
that
butterfly
it
bush.
drowned it.
He killed my butterfly bush.
So speaking of plants, this next question is, are you running out of space to garden at your home? Any
No.
plans to move?
Nope.
There are no plans to move, especially in this housing market. And I always think we're running out of space. I always say to Christopher, like, that's it. Now we're just maintaining. But then we see something and we want to add it.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that we can keep going as long as we can.
And we will.
I mean, are we running out of space for big trees? Yes. I think we have run out of space for big trees.
But not little trees.
Okay. Lisa Britton asks, what are your strengths and weaknesses or areas in need of growth when it comes to gardening?
That is a great question. I think there are two ways to approach this. If we're talking about actual jobs in the garden, my strength is in edging.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that your strength is in planning and spacing.
Mm-hmm.
I think we are both really good at most of the maintenance things.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like if there was an area that I'd like to work on more, it would be, well, I'd like to say that perennials would be something that we were better at. We've actually kind of moved a little bit away from perennials because some of them just haven't been so great. So that could be an us problem.
We do have we have this weird thing, which I think might tell us if you identify with this. Echinacea does not do well in our garden. Lavender does not do well in our garden. There's just random perennials that do well for so many people that don't do well for us.
Yeah, echinacea, I don't think we've ever had one bloom.
I mean, they're just so unsuccessful for us. Either they get eaten to the ground by something, or they rot, or we plant them with flowers on them and they never come back. I don't know what's with echinacea and lavender in our garden, but they're not happy. But I don't think that's the question. What's the question again?
Strength and weaknesses.
Oh, my weakness is my patience, because my only thing thinner than my hair is my patience. Getting tasks done, like I'm a go person. So sometimes I lack a little bit of patience. And I think that my strength in the garden is definitely plant combination and design. Erica Einen asks, how big is your yard?
0.51 of an acre.
All right. Go D. Lauren, or God Lauren. Lots of nice clearance plants at Home Depot. How late can we plant this October? I'm in zone 6B.
So I was actually just listening to everyone's favorite podcast, Gardening Simplified.
Mm-hmm.
And in zone 6B, I believe they are in Michigan, they will plant pretty much into late October, because you want to give yourself at least 6 weeks before the ground is going to freeze. And that's probably going to happen in early to mid-December. So we'll still keep planting until we know we can get those plants in the ground. We can water them. They get at least 6 weeks to chill out and relax, get settled, before they are frozen in for the winter.
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple of things you don't want to plant in the fall. You would not want to plant an ornamental grass in the fall. You wouldn't want to plant a broadleaf evergreen in the fall. You wouldn't want to plant anything that, like a butterfly bush, or that doesn't like it wet in the fall. But in our area, we like to keep things well watered until Thanksgiving.
Yeah, Thanksgiving's about when we stop watering.
Yeah. If they're new, I mean, if they're established, we're not watering them, but only if it's just planted. Coffee and Chlorophyll, hi Morgan, asks, if you could only plant one variety of hydrangea in your yard, which variety would it be? Variety. So it has to be like either panicle or...
Oh, no. It's which one hydrangea. You get
think?
one. Yes.
Really? One variety? I mean, I guess it would be... because I love a pink flower, be Invincible Spirit 2.
Okay. I think that's a good one.
What about you, Christopher?
Pinky Winky.
Pinky Winky. Okay. Garden D asks, do you know of any Japanese maples that will do well in Zone 8A heat? I do not.
I do not.
I don't know Zone 8A. Sandy Z asks, do you fertilize hydrangeas? Yes, we do. We use rose tone in the spring, and we just throw it on the ground.
Yep.
We just take handfuls of it and chuck it.
And by that, he means we take 1 cup measuring cups and I scoop it in there and I shake it around the base of each plant.
So when I fertilize hydrangeas, I just chuck it. Tips for Eastern Redbud. Eastern Redbud does not like to be fertilized. How fast do they grow? I think it grows pretty fast once it's established.
Moderately fast, yeah.
Yeah. Next question, Ms. Lee Sull. Any suggestions of places where I can talk landscape or garden design courses online? And I don't know of any garden design courses online. I know we have been asked.
Oh, wait. Paper Garden Workshop.
Oh, yeah. Paper Garden Workshop.
Paper Garden Workshop. It's about design, but it's also about learning how to draw your designs, which is so valuable.
She doesn't so much cover how to design a garden bed. It's more about how to draw the garden bed. So
there's some design though.
Yeah. And I know we've been asked to do online design stuff, and so that's bouncing around in the universe. We just have to find time. Next is Garza Oneida. I am Zone 5. If I buy At Last Roses Zone 5, will it survive the winter? Thank you very much.
Yes,
it will. Timone 320. How many hours a week do you spend on maintenance and install? How do you find the time?
We clamor for the time. We look and look and look, and we try to find the time. Sometimes it's in the mornings. Sunday's really our big garden day. That's the day we both have off together. I work on Saturdays. He works on Mondays. So I do quite a bit on Saturday or on Monday. He does a lot of the mowing usually on Saturdays.
Yeah, I mean, I do a lot by myself on Saturday. He does a lot by himself on Monday, and then we usually work together on Sunday. And then during the week, we enjoy it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I would say install day is usually on Sundays if we're installing something.
Yes, and so I'd say quite a few hours over the weekend, at the height of season.
Yeah.
But during the week, nothing. I mean, it's
Not
just for
really.
enjoying after and before work at that point in time. What else? This is from Erica Einen. What else is lurking about the back of your yard? I hope nothing.
I hope nothing. So it's interesting.
What does that question mean?
Well, I'm gonna go with animals.
Okay.
We've seen the deer. We've seen the big
I hope it's not Erica.
Right. It's not Erica. Right? Hi, Erica. We've seen I know it's flock, but it looks like a herd of turkeys. They move, and it looks like Jurassic Park across the back berm. We know there have been Fisher cats locally, and we have seen a coyote,
foxes,
herons, neighborhood dogs, neighborhood cats,
rabbits, groundhogs.
Yeah, so the groundhogs are kind of funny. Squirrels and chipmunks we have bigger trees slowly, so we're starting to see more of them.
So that's what's lurking in our backyard. Lurking. Turkeys in the trees, turkeys across, lots of turkeys.
Turkeys roosting in trees. That is funny to watch.
Did you have, this is from Casey Katie, did you have connect your drip? Did you have to connect your drip for your garden beds to your existing lawn irrigation system?
No, we did not connect it to the existing sprinkler system, and I'm going to, in the next few weeks, once the leaves fall and it's easier to get around the shrubs, I'm going to be putting drip on the 2 garden beds that are around our terrace, and I'm planning on going really in depth on how I do that the easiest possible way.
Joy in the Journey asks, and I love this question, tips for redesigning a space that you don't love. Feeling like I need to pull it all and start anew. And I have had that same feeling, and we have done that to areas in our garden. And you know what we've done? We have honestly taken it all out of the bed.
Yeah.
And started from scratch. And if some things get put back, they get put back. But just to have that moment of clarity and seeing that space empty, sometimes it's worth it to yank everything out. Now, if it's a huge space, that's going to be a lot of work.
That's
but
tough.
if it's a reasonable size space, think about what you want in that space, what you're looking for. What are you craving? Are you craving some evergreen interest with some color contrast or texture contrast? And you don't have it. And sometimes there's just like too much going on and you can't, like, my brain can't figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
And so we have yanked it all out and started again. Peonies and pinks. What tips do you have to grow your account? My number one tip is post something every day
On Instagram.
on Instagram. And I think that, I've been running the Instagram account for a few years now, and posting every day has really helped. Really talking to fellow gardeners and interacting, sharing things with each other, commenting on posts, answering comments on your posts, being involved in your account is really helpful. I know for years people asked us if we would do a YouTube, and I always said, no, neither of us really like editing. Neither of us really have the time. And then this past July, we were in Michigan with a couple other people at Spring Meadow. And I remember it was Sky, Hamilton House Designs, and Bethany Bay, Chicago Gardener, and Janie, Dig Plant Water Repeat, and Matthew, the Southerners Northern Garden. They were all like, you guys have to do a YouTube. Your garden deserves to be on YouTube. And
Here we are.
And I said to Christopher, I was like, well, I'll do Instagram and you do YouTube. And he was like, okay. And now here we are. Peonies and Pinks also asks, do you ever disagree on plant choices?
Yes.
All the time.
He wins. All the time.
So how our garden works basically is, I mean, that's not true, but I'll let you pretend it is. Is if you picked it out and you purchased it, you take care of it. So that's kind of how it works. So like I take care of all the hydrangeas, he takes care of all the roses. If you picked it out, you take care of it. There are certain things where I'm like, nope, no way. And then you've done the same thing to me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we
For
definitely, sometimes it's a definite no.
Yeah. What is your, also Peonies and Pinks, what is your must have for the garden? Hydrangeas.
Roses.
Water.
Water is important.
Yes.
In the last couple of years, we've realized structure is very important. We've added in some trellis, some obelisk, some of the metal orb that Eric got me last year. Those things, it's not just like an ornament, but they kind of ground the garden. They give the garden something to be part of, so it's not just a pile of plants. I think our fence actually in some ways helped just to solidify everything.
I think our one of our best investments we could have possibly made for our property was our fence. For sure. And we were limited because of our HOA that it had to be a vinyl fence. We were limited in color choice, but that vinyl fence, I think, for establishing borders and boundaries and like a backdrop was one of the best things. Pretty Little Boxes asks, what has been your favorite experience or opportunity as your account has grown?
The most important thing that's happened since our account started growing, besides the trips that we've been able to take, it's the relationships. The relationship that we've built with Gardener Supply, with Proven Winners, that's all well and good. But just this past weekend, we got to spend time with amazing gardeners, talk about everything from gardening, family, friendships, YouTube, Instagram, all of that. But we really have made some genuine connections that make this really worth it.
I agree with you. I think that the people are absolutely amazing. I think my favorite experience overall was definitely Spring Meadow Color Choice Shrubs, touring that facility, touring the research and development greenhouses, and seeing the trial garden and having that magical dinner and just spending time with really nice, fun gardeners and just talking plants. Helen, I See Gardener asks, was it difficult to plan the placement and arrangement of your plants when starting your garden?
Yes, because we had no idea what we were doing.
Yeah, I mean, like I said earlier, we definitely wanted to create some borders between us and the neighbor because our fence wasn't in, and we wanted to have some privacy in windows and things. Things have changed every year. I wonder if, Christopher, this would be a great time in the video for you to show some 2018 footage, perhaps right here.
Yeah, I have pictures of that border before the fence went in, what it looks like now. I mean, at one point, we had one of our Crescent Garden containers in the back corner next to a winterberry
Yeah.
and a $5 shrub that looked like a toilet brush.
Timone320 asks, what gardens inspire you? I mean, the garden that inspired us the most this year was definitely the trial garden at Approval Winters in Michigan.
Yeah.
In Longwood.
Longwood Garden, they have that beautiful long border. And they have such huge trees, so it's like dappled shade there, and it's just beautiful.
The
and
oak leaves everywhere.
Yeah, and it just really showed how powerful repetition is in a garden.
Mm-hmm.
It was, what is that, like a quarter of a mile long, and it's just repeating the same motifs over and over again.
Mm-hmm. Berkshire Botanical Gardens.
Yes.
Beautiful. There was the sculpture garden that we went to in Michigan.
Oh, yeah.
What was that one called? That was fantastic. That was one of my favorite places we've ever been. That might have been our last question. I think that was it.
Was that it?
I think that was it. I hope we got everybody's question. I tried to screenshot them all before they disappeared on Instagram. You know how your stories only last 24 hours?
Oh, right.
So,
I was
yeah.
looking. One of the cats was running around.
Oh, yeah, we should introduce you to the cats.
Hold on, I think I see Freya. So this is Freya. She doesn't want to be held right now. Come here.
Freya's not a snuggler, but Frederick's a snuggler.
Here's our sweet baby.
So this is Frederick.
Say hi. Yep. So this is why we don't have a dog. For anybody who has complained that we don't have a dog, they come first. Ow. We were just away, so they need their nails clipped.
Okay, sorry, Freya. That was their debut.
That was their debut.
So thank you so much for sending in all the questions. If you have more questions, leave them in the comments below, and we will get to them either in the comment section. Christopher usually answers those questions. And if we don't get to them, maybe we'll start curating questions and doing a Q&A once a month or something like that.
Yeah.
If that's something everybody would like.
That sounds good to me.
Yeah. So again, I'm Eric.
And I'm Christopher.
And we're Grow For Me 5B.
Thanks for growing with us.